welcome everyone. I'm Sheriff Rick Wells, and this is Sheriff's Patrol.
And I'm Dave Bristow. Coming up on Sheriff's Patrol, we'll present our Deputies of the Year and check in on crime statistics. But first on Sheriff's Patrol, we want to welcome our new sheriff, Rick Wells. Sheriff Wells was recently sworn in front of family, friends, and co-workers.
I do solemnly swear. That I will support. Protect. And defend. The Constitution and government of the United States and the state of Florida. That I am duly qualified to hold office. Under the Constitution of the state. And that I will well. And faithfully perform. The duties of sheriff. Of Manatee County. Florida. On which I am now about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
My family has helped define me as a person. My belief that God has a purpose for our life and that He has blessed me with this incredible opportunity to serve my community as Sheriff of Manatee County. And my belief that people should be treated fairly and with respect, no matter what the circumstances are.
Wow, Sheriff, quite a day that I know you've been looking forward to for some time.
You know, Dave, it's just been a great moment and just a lot of special memories for my family and I at the Sheriff's Office, and to be the Sheriff of Manatee County truly is a dream for me, and it's been a goal for a long time. But just a very special day for my family and I, and to have my dad up there with me, it was a great day.
And I've served under your dad, under Sheriff Steube, now under you, and one thing I could say, the consistency that we've kept with the Sheriff's Office is amazing.
Absolutely. I think, you know, every sheriff is trying to improve and to get better. And if you look at what my dad did, he really changed the culture of the Manatee County Sheriff's Office back in the 80s and 90s. Sheriff Steube came along and continued to improve and progress, and you know, now it's time for me to do the same.
Let's talk a little bit about your background, because there are some people out there that are new to the county that have just moved in and they don't know Rick Wells. Tell us about how you got started in law enforcement and progressed to where you are today.
Well, I like to tell people, first of all, that I am the first Wells at the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. I started in 1984. About a year later, my dad decided that he was going to run for sheriff. That was a very unique time. Once he was elected, we thought that it was important that I left. And so I went to the Florida Highway Patrol, spent 21 years there. Was able to come back to the Sheriff's Office when Sheriff Steube was appointed in 2007, and that's really, that time here at the Sheriff's Office was what I believe gave me the opportunity to be Chief of Police of Palmetto, and that's where I went in 2010. When Sheriff Steube decided he was going to retire without telling any of us, he asked me to come back as his colonel. As you know, it had been vacant for several years, which I gladly did. And then, you know, the rest is history. He decided he was going to retire. He announced that, and I was able to run unopposed. And
which is always nice.
It's really nice, and so it was a good way for me to transition into the role of sheriff, with Sheriff Steube right there helping me along the way.
Outstanding. You know, you mentioned that you served as colonel. Now, just the other day, we had the swearing in of your colonel, Dwayne Dennison.
Now I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, my friend.
This is about all of us as a family and making this community safer and a better place for all of us to live and raise our families.
You know, Dave, that was another great day for my family and for Dwayne's family. Dwayne has been a very good friend of mine for over 35 years. We've worked together. I know what he's all about. And that's the important thing. When you're the sheriff, you need to make sure that your number two guy, the guy that you really rely on the most, has the same vision. And he has that same work ethic. You know, he's a hard worker. He's going to be out there and he's going to be representing the Sheriff's Office in a positive manner. And I'm just looking forward to him and I, you know, hitting the ground running, Dave.
And the thing about Dwayne is, everyone who I've talked to at the Sheriff's Office is like, oh man, that's a great choice. All right, we'll be back with more Sheriff's Patrol right after this.
Manatee County Sheriff's Office is proud to present the new iPhone and Android app. We remain dedicated to providing the highest standard of service to our residents and visitors. So with this app, you'll find valuable information right on your mobile device. The app, in partnership with thesherifapp.com, gives you our latest news and events, most wanted listings, sex offender locations, submit a tip, job opportunities, and more. Manatee County Sheriff's Office is available for free in the App Store and Google Play Store. Download our app today.
Welcome back to our show. Along with Manatee County Sheriff Rick Wells, I'm Dave Bristow. We recently held the Sheriff's Office Annual Awards Banquet, where we honor the Deputy of the Year, also the Employee of the Year, the Bell's Humanitarian of the Year, and the Danny and Robert Moulter Volunteer of the Year Award.
Let's give our Bell's Humanitarian and our Moulter Volunteer Memorial Award recipient, William Rudolph, a round of applause. Rudy possesses extreme work ethics and routinely goes above and beyond in completing his CSO duties at the highest level of professionalism. Even though he serves at the Sheriff's Office full-time, he, along with his family, make time to volunteer with several community organizations, including Bridge Church's Holy Smoke program to benefit the Solve Teen Pregnancy House since 2006, Bayside Church's Team Community Outreach program since 2009, and Men's Counseling through Bayside Church since 2009. Rudy volunteers over 4 hours per week for all of these charities. Rudy's efforts encompass the meaning behind the Bell's Humanitarian Award, for which he will be named the 2016 recipient. Congratulations.
As we receive the nominations, all are very deserving of the award. As we look at these, we look at things such as you heard earlier, which is volunteering their time, spending time on fundraisers, and reaching out to help wherever they can. As you heard with Rudy in the nomination, he is certainly very deserving.
I have an amazing wife and an amazing family, and this is what we do. This is how we live our lives. So there is no making time for such and such. It's when is the next race scheduled, when is the next building project scheduled, when is the next service to the homeless scheduled, and the kids are involved and the wife is involved, and it is our wife.
Now it's time for the Employee and Deputy of the Year. The winners are selected from the 12 deputies and employees of the month. First, the Employee of the Year.
Late in March of 2016, this employee witnessed a 3-vehicle accident. One vehicle had flipped over and she feared the worst. She immediately radioed for EMS, grabbed her CPR kit, and prepared to assist. A woman ran up to her and advised her that her husband could not breathe. This employee ran around to the passenger side of the vehicle and cut through the airbags to gain access to the man. The man was breathing, and she checked on the other drivers and passengers involved. When EMS arrived, she stayed on the scene to assist. This employee went above and beyond the call of duty and was a calming force to those who were involved, for which Kelsey Beloise is awarded the 2016 Employee of the Year.
You know, when it happened, I knew what I had to do. I just, had to help the people, but thank God everybody was safe.
At this time, it is my privilege to announce the 2016 Deputies of the Year. On January 30th, 2016, these deputies responded to a call at Camp Flying Eagle on the Manatee River, where an unknown person was on the water yelling for help. When the first deputy arrived on the riverbank, he jumped in the first watercraft he saw, which was a canoe, and started paddling upstream, calling out to get a better location on the person needing help. This deputy soon came upon a capsized boat and a father holding his 5-year-old son's head above the water. The child's shirt was entangled in the propeller of the boat motor, which had the child pulled in tight. The child was having trouble breathing and was in hypothermic shock due to the cold water. The deputy ripped the child's shirt piece by piece until he was free from the propeller. 2 Boy Scouts on scene removed some of their clothes to wrap the child up. The deputy saw only one way out of the water, but it was a distance away. He worked with the second deputy who had arrived and was calling out to guide him to the river shoreline. When the canoe reached the shoreline, the second deputy took the child and ran with him to awaiting EMS personnel. Both deputies stayed at the child's side, offering words of comfort and assisting EMS. The location of the incident was heavily wooded with no roadways and could be only reached by boat. The air temperature was low and the water was extremely cold. In the face of all these odds, these deputies ignored their own safety to render emergency assistance. If not for their quick action and use of available resources, the emergency response would have been delayed. Their efforts certainly saved the child's life, for which Deputy Angel Baxita and Deputy Grant Steube are awarded the 2016 Deputy of the Year.
It's a great feeling. I'm glad that he's okay and that everything worked out.
And I'm glad that I was able to help, but I think God probably played a role in this to make everything come out.
Dave, another special day for the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. These 4 employees really have gone above and beyond. You know, you hear so many negative things every year about law enforcement, and you never really get a chance to see all the good things that these men and women do every day. And these employees were out there saving lives, helping their community, and making Manatee County a better place to live and to raise a family. And it's just a special time for all of us when we can acknowledge greatness. And you know, unfortunately, this is one time a year. I wish we could do it several times a year and get that word out. But this is some accomplishments that have to be put out there and have to be exposed for really how critical it is that we're there, that these men and women are out there helping protect others.
We have sad news to pass along. We recently lost a great man with the death of Sergeant Jim Wisher. Sergeant Wisher passed away after a courageous battle against cancer.
Every 26 seconds, someone in the United States becomes a victim of a violent crime. In honor of National Crime Victims' Rights Week, join Manatee Victim Rights Council for an evening of hope and encouragement, 7 p.m. April 4th at Renaissance on 9th. This is a time to help victims find strength, resilience, and justice. For more information, call 747-3011 extension 8401 or 8403.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sheriff's Patrol. Well, we recently got our in-house crime statistics for 2016, and the numbers look good. Part 1 crimes were down 15% compared to 2015. Sheriff, a nice drop in both violent and nonviolent crimes.
You know, Dave, I can't express how important it is to acknowledge the great job our deputies did last year. I mean, if you think about the increase in population, the housing market, all this new area that they have to cover that we never had to cover before. I mean, it takes a lot of manpower to be in those neighborhoods and to be able to keep crime down. This is significant, Dave.
Oh,
I mean,
it's unbelievable.
This is probably one of the largest decreases we've had in 10, 15, 20 years. It's been a long time. It's because those men and women are dedicated, they're out there, they're being proactive, and I just salute them because this is really special.
And also, we salute Sheriff Brad Steube. One of his top accomplishments while being sheriff was cutting crime. So let's take a look back at Sheriff Steube's career.
When I began my career, I wanted to be the best that I could be at whatever I chose to do. I wanted to be a narcotics detective, and I was. I wanted to be a supervisor, and I was. I wanted to be a SWAT team member, and I was. If you don't know me well, you need to know that I am a task-oriented and mission-driven person.
Brad Steube was 8 years old when his family moved from Cincinnati, Ohio to Manatee County.
They moved off of 15th Street East, over there near the hospital. He got into trouble with playing in the water too much on the Manatee River, but they stayed there for a short period of time, and then they moved to the Bayshore area. And his biggest event of the day was being able to go to the boys club at that time, which was in Bayshore Gardens Shopping Center. And he used to walk through the woods from his house off of Dartmouth Drive, through the woods every single day to make it to the boys club as soon as they opened.
Not long, and Brad's hard work earned him the honor Boy of the Year, an award given to the young man who showed a willingness to help others and be a leader.
By the time Brad reached high school, he excelled in sports. His favorite sport was basketball, and he had many scholarship opportunities to pursue in basketball, and he turned them down because he wanted to be in Manatee County and pursue a career in public service.
By 1974, he had set his sights on a young lady who was attending Manatee Junior College.
He was actually stalking me. And we dated for several years, and it obviously paid off because we got engaged the night he graduated from the police academy.
I started my law enforcement career at the Longboat Key Police Department in January of 1976. You know, Longboat Key is a good place to work, but my gosh, it was so boring. But my goal was obviously to be at the largest law enforcement agency in the county. So then I was hired at the sheriff's office in February of 1978.
In less than 2 years, Deputy Steube was promoted to detective.
I'll tell you how small the agency was. The entire sheriff's office was located in the basement of the historical courthouse. I was also a detective with the city of Braden, and I may have been a sergeant then. But I went in, and there's a guy sitting at the smallest desk I have ever seen. He had a legal pad on the desk and a telephone and no room for anything else. And that was Brad Steube.
By the mid-'80s, Steube was climbing the ranks, assigned to lead an active narcotics unit. This was at the beginning of the crack cocaine epidemic.
I was buying narcotics from kids I went to school with. And of course I had long hair and a beard at the time, and they would look at me and say, "Man, I sure know you." We'd make the dope deal, and then later on we'd arrest them, and then they'd find out, you know, my true identity and my real name, and it was, oh my gosh, I went to high school with that guy.
Those were some challenging times in our marriage and in our life when he worked narcotics. He had that god-awful beard, and AKA Billy Potter of all things was his name, and I'm going, seriously?
I know that Mom had said that she would, when he finally had shaved it, that they pulled me in to make sure I would recognize him.
Over the years, I've heard him talk about his days in narcotics and the sacrifice that he made, being away from his family, working the long hours, and not being around to see the boys as much as he'd like to, and being with Deb.
I remember at one point in working narcotics, we're serving a search warrant out on 9th Avenue and 14th Street East at a house. I can't remember the suspect's name at the time, but I know that Steube was one of the first through the door. It was almost had a tragic ending because there were shots fired, and if I'm not mistaken, his glasses were shot off. That's how close the round came to him.
That incident actually left Brad with a scar on his eye and some damage to his eye from that particular incident. And that was actually one of 4 related shootings that he has had in his career, but that one did earn him a Distinguished Award medal for his courage in that incident.
We don't like to utilize it that often, but yes, it's an important part of our agency.
If I'm not mistaken, the very first SWAT team in the history of the Manatee County Sheriff's Office included Brad Steube, and he's, to a large extent, made it the professional unit that it is today.
Steube graduated the FBI Academy in 2000 and continued to climb the ranks at the Sheriff's Office. Appointed by Sheriff Charlie Wells to Chief Deputy in 2005.
I want to know what everybody's job is so that I can stay in touch with what's going on.
There probably has never been somebody that has worked so hard to ensure that, one, his deputies and his employees are taken care of as best as they possibly can, and two, that the community recognizes the Sheriff's Office for all the things that they do for the community.
He did it all.
We're at the MTI pistol range today.
Even an occasional action report for the Sheriff's TV show.
In the Coke bottle, as we call it.
Then in the spring of 2007,
I wanted to make an announcement today.
Brad Steube's boss and mentor retires.
I do solemnly swear.
Steube is appointed Sheriff of Manatee County. He made history that day, becoming the first deputy in Manatee County to work his way all the way through the ranks to the position of sheriff.
Proud that the governor followed our choice because we know that it was the right choice. He appointed a devoted and dedicated and committed person.
Like his predecessor, Sheriff Steube held firm to the promise of reducing crime.
Chase, catch, prosecute, and incarcerate the bad guys. BPL was first, SIR 13 was next, and we're going after more. We're not done.
Brad Steube's focus has always been on making and keeping Manatee County a safe place to live.
Because of a senseless act of violence.
One case that affected Brad deeply and emotionally was the death of Stacy Williams. That case motivated him to want to do something positive, and that's what led into the construction of the memorial basketball court for him.
Sheriff, if you'll put your hand on the Bible.
In 2012, Steube easily won re-election.
Your hard work resulted in me receiving over 78% of the vote.
He was back to work.
Thank you.
With new challenges to face.
Sabina Musel-Bueller spent 7 hidden years on Holmes Beach in a shallow grave.
We want to do nothing more than solve these cases. Don't lose hope, because we don't lose hope. This is a crime prevention alert.
Along the way,
if only everyone would...
He was front and center in many public service announcements.
Joining a street gang is wrong. If you know anyone involved with heroin...
Serious business that often brought out his humorous side.
Hello, I'm Brad Steube. That was good, wasn't it? How was that?
A little bit longer.
Know what your child is doing online and help us delete these predators, pieces of
Yeah.
Oh, you got that on there too. See, I'll see that again sometime, I'm sure.
This thing is turned off, isn't it? You know I don't like talking to the press.
Brad Steube is not a patient person.
Any other questions? We need to wrap this up. I got things to do.
He's never been overly patient.
It's tough. It's late in the afternoon. I'm hungry, you know?
And if you really want to test his patience, go to the golf course with him.
He's one of the few guys I've ever played golf with.
You gotta go.
That he expects to play golf in about an hour.
You do it one more time, I'm gonna smack you with it.
Maybe 15 minutes if he had his way about it. He'd hit it while he was still in the golf cart.
What's up with that?
Brad has a great sense of humor, one of which we see more often than anyone else, but he loves to poke fun at himself.
For my lack of hair, Dave Bristow said that I was challenged. He also stood up here and said that he's 41. I think he looked 53.
He's funny. People don't recognize that.
This is a smaller me when I work dope. My hair was just like this. Look like Bozo the Clown.
Also sometimes lost by the stoic, serious figure most people see is the softer, compassionate side.
My friend, my partner, my critic, my advisor, and the most precious thing in the world to me. I am blessed.
Brad's greatest joy is his family, and he always made it a point to include us in things that he had to do. It may not have always been easy, but Brad always made it a point to make every event that he could possibly make, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, soccer.
A lot of times I can remember him in high school when I played baseball. He'd just come and drive up, and Southeast, there was where the outfield was, there was a parking lot, so he could come watch some of the game that he could get, and then he'd go back to work.
In line with his order of priorities, he worked tirelessly at building a stronger sheriff's office, ready and able to accommodate the demands of a growing community.
Other sheriffs before him have done the same thing, but I know he's never been afraid to walk across the street to the county commission, as it were, and tell the county commission face to face and very bluntly what's needed and what's going to happen if we don't get what's needed.
How are y'all doing?
He's always fought very hard for the deputies that work for him to make sure that their pay is commensurate with their work, to make sure that their pay is commensurate with other surrounding offices and agencies, so he's not losing good deputies to other agencies. And I know he's worked very hard for that because he knows what they've gone through, because he's worked his way up through the ranks.
He's represented our agency just the way you would want the leader of any organization to do it, but he always did it better than you ever anticipated.
How's that?
And now, almost 41 years to the day he first put on a badge, Sheriff Brad Steube is retiring.
It's time. Brad has had a wonderful career in law enforcement and 10 years as your sheriff, and it has been an honor for him and me for him to serve. And I know Brad feels good about what he's been able to accomplish.
I think Sheriff Steube's legacy can be defined in many ways, not the least of which will be a reduction in crime in this county.
His legacy, that's hard to say in a short sentence. I think the first word is hardworking. Leading the department with honesty and integrity. You can pretty much sum him up in those 3 words.
He is a man that stood up for principles when sometimes it would have been easier to cave in to popular opinion. He got the job done, and he expected his people to get the job done with whatever resources that they had available at that time.
He has dedicated himself to a profession for over 40 years, and I don't know of anyone that has ever served that profession with more honor, more dignity, and more respect.
I want to thank you for your commitment to me in the sheriff's office. It's been my honor to be your sheriff. Thank you.
He's going to miss it. He's going to miss the people, for sure. I'm going to miss it. But it's our time now, and he is going to be so excited to spend more time with his sons and his grandchildren and just having a quiet time at home.
You know, Dave, it was important for the MSO family to send Sheriff Steube off on a high note. We did that with crime, and we did that by just a special night to salute a man who gave so much. He took a lot of time away from his family, 10 years as sheriff, a decrease in crime for 10 years. And I know he was happy, I know Debbie was happy, and I'm glad we had the opportunity to share with the rest of the community how valuable he was to us and what he meant to us. We're gonna miss him.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird just not having him around the office.
Right, it sure is.
All right, that will do it for Sheriff's Patrol. I want to remind everyone that follow us on Facebook, and you can do that by going to manateesheriff.com. For Sheriff Rick Wells, I'm Dave Bristow. So long, everyone.